Okay, so it looks like we're live on Facebook and we are also recording. So hi everyone, we are here and we're talking about mold, toxicity. Sorry about the echo. Sorry about the echo. We'll talk about CIRS and mold and fibromyalgia and some other things. And we're talking about the protocol that we use, and we're answering tonight any of your questions. So this is all about you and your questions. So we have a team here to help you. So go ahead and if you have any questions, we thank you for being here and for joining us. And I will go ahead and get your questions answered. Let me just introduce myself. I'm Kim Lemberg. I'm a functional wellness specialist, and I have a few others here if they would like to go ahead and introduce themselves, and then we'll start reading off the questions and we'll start to get them answered. I'm Kim Lemberg. I'm a functional wellness specialist, and I have a few others here if they would like to go ahead and introduce themselves.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks for being here. Thanks for having me. This is Michelle Ricci. I'm a certified nutrition specialist, a holistic wellness practitioner, and I specialize in trauma recovery pathways specific to chronic inflammatory response syndrome from trauma and toxic trauma. So happy to be here and answering questions about biohacking chronic inflammatory response syndrome and how to use the ULT, the Ultimate Lifestyle Transformation, and some other tips and tricks. So I'm super excited. There's a lot of our teammates here and some practitioners on the panel. So I'll pass it over. Maybe Amy, you can go next and introduce Bobby after that.
My name's Amy Kunicki. I've been working this protocol since August of 2020. And I've been able to really diminish all of my fibromyalgia, depression, and anxiety. I don't know. What are they called? Symptoms, I guess. I am pain-free. I haven't had any issues. I'm off all meds, off all medical cannabis, kratom, and this protocol has just really, really helped me very much. So happy to be here, and I'm happy to share this with others that have been suffering. So thank you.
Hi, I'm Bobby Mcgrath. I am a certified health coach, and I have been using Purium for probably 2 months, so I'm new to it, but it is something that has helped me fill a void that I feel like I had in my treatment plan for myself, because I am suffering from CIRS and mold, mainly mold toxicity, but also PTSD, some pretty significant trauma issues. And so I'm kind of just pulling back the layers. And as I'm trying to support myself with different things. And then as I'm doing that with being a certified health coach, I've got clients that I'm working with them on their health. And I seem to be attracting a lot of people that have a lot of significant health issues, multiple things. And also have been doing some corporate wellness and some coaching on this corporate level and webinars and things like that. So my sweet spot is just helping people kind of take a step back and look at the big picture and help them try to figure out what's the first thing that they should do or spend their time on with their health, and the choices that they're making and the money that they're spending that will give them the most bang for their buck and help them, but not throw them into a situation where they're just really overwhelmed with doing too many things at once. So I'm excited to be here and can't wait to hear everybody's questions and answers.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, ladies. And that's so important, is treating the whole person and just helping people take the reins of their own health and make good decisions on how they're purchasing things and what companies they're aligning with and what they're doing for themselves. So next, Mary Cornwell, will you say hello and introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what's exciting you about what we're doing here?
Sure, thanks. Yeah, my name's Mary Cornwell. I am a holistic health coach and a building biology advocate. Like many of the people here, I had my own personal experience of chronic illness and healing from toxic trauma from mold in my home, but also heavy metal exposure and a host of a perfect storm, if you will, that left me in a debilitating chronic illness state, and have really been peeling back the layers the past 2 years. And 6 months ago, I found this amazing organic whole food alkaline protocol that really has dramatically shifted my life. It's given me so much vitality and life force back. So thank you, Michelle, for introducing me to it. I'm just really passionate about helping people get to the root cause of their health issues and looking at their built environment, because the air that we breathe is so incredibly important and plays a huge role in our health, but also the food that we eat is a huge integral piece to healing. And so I'm excited to be here and just be a part of this community and also be sharing this message of healing with other people.
I love that, Mary. Thank you so much. And the building piece is a big piece, as we all know. And so really treating the whole person, finding this company for food has been amazing for all of us. And there's other things that we've been doing to also reduce our toxic burden, lighten our toxic burden, and cut down on the toxins that are going into our body in other ways as well. So I'm excited to get this conversation started. Looks like we have a couple of people here. So I want to welcome Evelyn and Leah and Emily. And so does anybody have a question? We can just get started with questions of people that are here. And then I also have some that were in the chat from earlier. So if you have a question, you go ahead and raise your hand or just come off mute one at a time and ask your question. The panel will try to address it for you.
Hi guys, my name is Lee. You may know me as Kat online. I don't know, is my audio okay? Can you hear me okay? Okay, excellent. When I met Mary Cornwell and Michelle, Ricci, and Heather, I was still definitely spinning in the tornado of illness, emotionally, financially, like just everything. I'm sure you all know exactly what I mean. And my questions, I have to say, like, meeting this group of people has changed my life, not just my health, but I'm also a certified life coach, but I've never practiced because I got sick right after I was in my courses. So it's definitely, I've been going through the phases as well of peeling back all the layers, and I'm not only fixing my health, but my emotional state, my living conditions, everything. So it's been a whirlwind of activity since I met these guys, which is great. My questions for any of the health practitioners are, like, during the protocol, like, I'm just finishing week 4, but I didn't do the deep cleanse yet. I'm probably going to do that week 5, maybe week 6. I'm going to continue on with ULT. And I was still following, when I first started this, I was still following a low histamine diet. I've been doing that since November because of CIRS. And I'm just wondering, like, I was still kind of following it at the beginning of this, but I started feeling invigorated after I was taking Purium, and after I've just been, it's been lightening my load, so to speak. So I've been adding things back, and then I've had a few setbacks with adding the wrong things, or maybe too much of the wrong things. I don't know. I ate a lot of citrus one day and it kind of threw me off. But I'm just wondering what diets work during the protocol. Like, what things are people, I tend to, right now, I tend to eat like a lot of fruit, salads for a big meal, sometimes just like broth soups, but it gets really boring. So I'm just wondering what others are eating to help out.
That's a great question, and I'll let some other panelists answer it. Mary and I just actually have been working on a couple of weeks of shopping lists and a menu plan that I had started a couple of years ago, and then added some of our flex food lists and some other food combining methods that another colleague in the organization had put forth. So we did this beautiful combination. It's a new PDF. Mary can share it in the group, maybe even specifically to this post, but it has everything into consideration: inflammation. And Mary, maybe you can just speak a little bit about the list and what's on it and the different sections, and then maybe we'll let somebody else chime in as to what they're using with their clients.
Yeah, sure, for sure. So everyone's body is different and what they're going to be able to handle or tolerate, especially in the beginning stages of healing. So I think number one is just listening to your body, and you know that best. But in the food guide list that we created, there's a good to go list, a proceed slow, and I forget what we called it, but it's a definitely no list. And so the good to go list is a lot of alkaline foods like your fruits and your vegetables. Citrus is on there, but if you're not able to necessarily tolerate that much citrus as your body, citrus is very astringent and cleaning to the lymphatic system. So what could be happening is it's cleaning a lot of things out. And as toxins move through our body, it can exacerbate symptoms and we can have those detox symptoms. So just sticking to the good to go list and picking out the fruits and vegetables that work for you, and then slowly adding things back in. And Heather can talk to this a little bit more as well, because when she first started with Purium, she could only handle a couple different types of fruit, and she's been adding more and more back in. Where the food list has mycotoxin crops like corn and some certain fruits like citrus and grapes and berries do tend to mold easy, are more mold prone. So just being careful about how you're selecting those and trying to pick things in season and choose them when they're organic. And obviously staying away from things like gluten and dairy and soy and those things that we know are really inflammatory. So it's a beautiful list of the AIP plus a mold diet plus an alkaline diet. We used a lot of information from Dr. Sebi and Dr. Morse, Robert Morse, who really look at the most alkaline foods, because when our body is in an acidic state, we can't really move the dial if we're consuming acidic foods and just adding to our toxic burden. Hopefully that helps. And Heather, I don't know if you want to hop in and speak a little bit to the fruits, because I know that was something that you struggled with in the beginning. Heather here? Okay.
Yeah, I'm trying to, I can't tell where how to get this so you guys can see me right. I don't know if that works. Yeah, I had to start really slow. I hadn't been able to eat fruit for 2 years due to SIBO from the chronic inflammation from biotoxin and mold toxicity. And within 3 days on the protocol, I was starting to be able to add new foods in. And I am 4 months out and I've added about 20 foods back into my diet. And it's been this process of just listening to what my body's telling me. But there's just been amazing improvement in the variety in my diet and in my health. My hair is actually going from gray to more and more black, and dark brown is coming in, which is very exciting. Proof that I'm regenerating at a cellular level, from the inside, and now you can see it more on the outside. But does that answer the question you had, Mary?
Yeah, no, I think so. It just was a process of slowly introducing it to your body. Kat, does that answer your question?
Yeah, definitely. I think I'm pretty good at knowing my body, but with CIRS, my flare-ups is what I call them. It's always like 12 to 24 hours after I've eaten something. So I test something and I understand, like, okay, test it with just a little bit on your tongue. I get groceries and then that's what I have for the week. So I that's what I eat. So I mean, if I have something that, you know, the next day I'm definitely flared up and I'm reacting to it. My reactions tend to be fog brain almost right away. I get lethargic and tired. And then sometimes I might notice like skin reactions or something like that. But usually the skin reactions hit me if I've continued on something. But it's, you know, it's one day at a time. I'm just noticing since I started the protocol, I'm feeling so much more like myself, and I'm feeling like as you get excited and you want to go and eat something different, and then when you do that, it's kind of, it throws you back a little bit. So it's a day at a time, one day at a time. I get used to the little things that I can do, and now I know, like, if I'm gonna try citrus, don't buy a whole crate of oranges. And that's what I did. I ate a lot of oranges. Mary, I have to say, it was after you and Mary Jane found like a stash of oranges that were given to you, or maybe it was lemons. I forgot. Lemons and oranges, but I got excited about the citrus, so much citrus, so I went out and bought some.
And one thing I would say, you know, and thanks for sharing all that, is that when we started, and that's why Mary and I created this list, is because we're trying to get everything out of the system that could be agitating the system. And then, you know, and then on the outside, what are you cleaning with? What are you using for body products? And so I totally get that it gets boring at first. And then sometimes we even get excited because we start feeling better. And, you know, don't let it set you back too much, but also don't get too far ahead of yourself, because the long game is where all the, you know, I mean, it's magic all along the way. And the long game is, you know, having health back and loving life in your skin suit and really coming into homeostasis. And so, Kim, I'm wondering if you want to chime in on this at all, or Bobby.
Well, yeah, how long have you, I would like to know how long you've been on the protocol. It sounds like that you just started recently, am I correct?
Yeah, I started 4 weeks ago, the end of this week. Like, I'm actually halfway through this week. I'm almost at 4 weeks now. Okay. So it's very new, but same as Heather, I noticed a change in my health within 3 to 4 days. Like, I was doing supplements and low histamine diet from November until 4 weeks ago. And I was seeing changes, but since on the protocol, this is the first time I've noticed the swelling in my legs and feet go down, and it's gone. Like, I don't have any swelling. I'm sleeping really well. I have more energy. I started doing yoga again, like just recently, and it's a lot of things that is just, it does get you excited, and you want to move more and you want to do more. But I agree with Michelle. It's, you know, you got to take baby steps and just listen to yourself.
Yep, you got to listen to your body, which sounds like you're doing. And so much so, congratulations on having things really start to change within 3 to 4 days. And then you noticed all these other changes within 4, weeks. And knowing that the histamine sounds like they're trying to go back into balance, because the histamines is, oh, make sure I was not muted. So the histamines is when we're not digesting, and all that's in the junctions are open, and all that's going into the bloodstream and circulating, it's creating that histamine response. So it sounds like what the protocol that you're doing, and that we're all doing, is actually sealing up the junctions and working on the digestive system. So now, instead of just taking that.
Hey, good to meet you.
Oh, can you mute, please?
Yeah, awesome. How about you? Awesome.
Dr. Alex, can you mute, please?
Good to see you too. Take care.
You too. Thanks.
Dr. Alex, can you mute, please? Oh, thank you. So I know you want to go ahead and just, eat a lot of like citrus that can be problemsome for people with histamines, but it's just, that's all I would add. It's just listen to your body, do it. You made such great progress so far. Congratulations. And just do a few at a time and then see how your body does. And before sooner than later, you'll be able to eat a lot more. So you're doing great. In fact, and I'm so glad that this protocol is working. It's just an amazing food and such an amazing protocol.
Agreed.
I'll jump in here really quick and just give my 2 cents on that. The one thing I think I've figured out with the CIRS thing, and especially with Purium and adding things in and taking things out, is, and I've tried to work with my husband on it, he tends to eat like the same thing every day at the same time and all of that kind of stuff. And so you're getting the same nutrients on a daily basis, which can be good if you're deficient. But I think for me, what I've learned is I need to go in moderation to minimum, meaning if I'm having citrus, I'm not having it every day in the morning, or I'm not doing something every single day when it comes to foods, actual foods, because I feel like my body, as we all do, ebbs and flows. So if I'm constantly giving it something, it might eventually kind of go, whoa, hold on. You've kind of just flooded me with something that, yeah, it's great, but too much is too much kind of thing. So I, like you, I bought the big bag of the orange tiny little cuties, and I was eating them all the time. And I was like, gosh, my knuckles are just really bothering me. And just different things were coming up. And I started kind of backchecking, going, I really have been overindulging in certain things, and it doesn't really matter what it is, but maybe those higher histamine foods, like even avocados, my mold doctor's like, just watch your avocados on that. And I was like, yeah, that's every day in my green bowl that I make. So just maybe mixing it up and making sure that you're kind of changing what you're eating on a little bit more less of a schedule, I guess, would be a suggestion that I have.
Love it. Thank you. Great insights. Let's see. Evelyn or Angela or Emily or Dr. Alex, does anybody have questions about the protocol or what we're doing here?
Hi, my name's Emily. I'm not feeling too camera friendly right now. I'm actually in bed. I'm quite overwhelmed with my immune system on a regular basis. I have multiple chronic autoimmune conditions, and I was invited to come and listen by Heather. She's so I'm just trying to keep up. I do have brain fog, and I'm learning. I had she reached out to me because I've been having a lot of issues lately, and I had mentioned to her that I had a test done in my apartment years ago for mold, and I tried to send it to her. So I don't know how to interpret these things, and so I've struggled with cognitive fog a long time, so I am quite overwhelmed with my multiple conditions at the moment. The thing is that there is mold, probably. Well, that tests mold, and I don't understand how to read the findings of that, but I guess I'm in a place where I'm not working anymore. I'm housebound, and my symptoms have gotten really worse in my apartment, stuck here for a year on lockdown. And my son is also having some issues crop up. And so I had informed my landlord of the results of that test when I had it years ago. And they came out, and they said it's not mold, it's dust, and that it's not toxic the way that we read it. So I guess I could use some help. And how do you clarify if your environment is toxic to you? Like what do you need to do to because I feel like I have very little remedies for me, if that's the case, if that's what's making me sick. Thanks. I don't know how to turn this off.
Thank you for sharing that with us. And I'm so sorry. I think the whole group of us here, if you look around, you can see the concern and love on people's faces that they're sending you. So just know that we empathize with you, that we're sorry that you're going through this. And, you know, it is difficult. And I know that there's a lot of people that can't leave where they're living, and they're living in a toxic environment. And so there are things that you can do while you're there, but I know that you're also not feeling very well. But other ways to lighten your toxic burden could be to change out your cleaning supplies and take a look at what you're using on your body, because then at least you're not adding to what you can't control. I know Mary would love to probably chime in first here on the building health. And then I'd like to hear from some of the other practitioners of some easy things that maybe a tip or a trick, something that you can do while you're, if you're unable to leave.
Yeah, I echo Michelle. I'm really sorry that you are from your environment, but I'm also happy that you know what the root cause of it is, because your environment can make you really sick, and it's a good thing that you know that what the issue is. But moving to a safe space is first and foremost, so your body can start to begin to heal. You can't heal in a sick environment, but like what Michelle is saying, if you can flood your body with nutrition and lower your toxic burden in other ways, that can definitely help. I'm not sure where you're located at, but I'd be happy to connect with you after the call, and maybe depending on where you're at, share some resources with you of either an inspector or a remediator to come up to your home and check out where you're living, so that you can have a safe space to live. There's a lot of tests. I don't want to make like a blanket statement of what's best for you in your situation. So maybe best to connect after the call. But maybe you can even put in the chat if you want of where you're located, so you can get a better idea. There are some great professionals that I know in Michigan and North Carolina and in Arizona, and a lot of them do travel. So that's an option. And then in the meantime, I would say supporting your body with, I don't know if you're doing Purium already, but supporting your body with the protocol and starting to remove other toxic burdens. So if you have like different laundry soap, you live in Pennsylvania, okay, so in the East. Yeah, so I may have a connection for you because he can travel there. So I can send you some resources.
Thank you so much, Mary. Yeah, and maybe just speaking to either air purifiers or opening windows, if that can be helpful, and then maybe even just moving the chair outside and trying to sit in the sun for a little while. Can any of those things be helpful, Mary? And then maybe if Bobby or Kim want to chime in, also, that would be great.
As much time as you can outside can really help, especially since it's springtime. Opening your windows and getting good air exchange rates. The way our homes are built right now, where they're not built with health in mind, and our ventilation systems are really poor. And so if you can get better air exchange just by opening your doors and windows and letting fresh air in, going for, I know you don't feel up for it because you're bedbound, but the more you can be outside of your physical environment, even if it's just sitting outside on your back or front porch, can really help. And or alternatively, if you know that the water damage is an issue and you can see leaks, you can see water discoloration in the ceiling or on the paint, or if you can even see visible mold, I'm not sure what your situation looks like. A lot of times we can't see mold growth or water damage. I know in the home that I got sick in, there was no sign. It was like a perfect fixer-upper house and everything looked like it was brand new, but the mold was hiding behind the walls. And so even if you could, I don't know if you have family in the area, but even if you could stay with a family or a friend for a weekend or a week and see how you feel, and if coming back to the home makes you feel worse, that can be a really good, easy, affordable indicator and give your body a little break as well. Air purifiers might help, but it really depends on the air quality. I'm trying to read these comments as they come through. I have severe allergies and was told by my doctor not to open my windows. So yes, and I get that it's springtime, and so if we're having gut issues and our whole body's inflamed, we're going to be allergic to things like pollen and everything that comes at us. So use your discretion at it. But I found even during the springtime and even during the fall, opening windows and getting that clean air in is going to be better than breathing in toxins from a water damaged building, because it's not just mold and mycotoxins, it's also endotoxins and other opportunistic bacteria that are found in water damaged places. So it's a tough one, and I'm sorry that you're through this, but know that there is healing on the other side, and you have the root cause, and you know that this is a really big missing piece of the puzzle. If anybody else wants to chime in. One last, with that air filter I found, my favorite is Boston air.
Well, we lost you a little bit there at the end. Bobby, can you speak to how maybe like food or Purium in particular, this protocol, or any kind of holistic piece can be beneficial even if moving is not an option?
Yeah, I definitely can. There's a couple things I wanted to say to speak to Emily, to you directly, just right off the top of my head. I was wondering if you had an advocate, because I know when you have brain fog, and believe me, I know what that feels like. I'm wondering if you have an advocate, somebody that can do some of this legwork for you, make phone calls, send letters, ask questions, contact places. So that would be one question that I have for you. I think you said, I need somebody to be the advocate. Okay, that would be the number one thing right now. I would try to source a friend, family member, somebody that you have, maybe not necessarily that you're super close with, but that you trust, because you need help with the day-to-day, like starting from step number one, this is what I need to do. So I would try to secure someone, and that may be you spending some time on the phone with a couple people that you maybe trust and just asking them, are they up for the challenge or commitment to help you? Because you need somebody solid for that, for the fact that you have brain fog, and trying to navigate this without support is difficult. And I commend you for coming today, because that's the first step to this whole thing. The second thing I would really urge you to do is, as much as you can, like Mary was saying, any kind of fresh air that you can get that's not apartment mold air is going to just give your body that a little bit of a break that you're getting, because you're breathing it in all the time. We just put on a furnace at the location that I was exposed by the mold, something called iWave, and it's supposedly fairly new, and it's supposed to work on the air that's coming in from the outside into your HVAC system, and it's supposed to help with killing the toxins or the mycotoxins or the mold. I don't know all the biological terms and things, but so there are things that you can do, or you can have your apartment complex do, but getting an advocate to help with this process of, an apartment manager or owner saying, there's nothing wrong, there's nothing here. Those things, if you can prove that those are there, then there has to be some recourse for it, especially since if you're not working and moving, it's not an option. So those are the two things I would definitely try to do, even if you just sat your chair or moved your bed by the window, something where you can get some fresh air. And the third thing is with the Purium, anytime you're flooding your body with nutrition, you're at least giving your body the fighting chance to put up some armor on your immune system. And it's at least giving your body gas. It's like driving around in a car without gas. Purium is going to fill up your gas tank, and it's going to give you what you need to at least build some of the building blocks that you need for your immune system and to help with the process that your body is trying to fight so valiantly to get through. So if there's a way for you to be able to get the Purium product or the nutritional power shakes and things like that in your system, it can help you at least have a fighting chance to stay without losing more ground.
I love that analogy, Bobby. Thank you so much. Kim, do you want to chime in here as well?
Yeah, I mean, I have a background of mold as well. I worked in a building with mold, and I heard a lot of the same things where I was told I was crazy and it was all in my head. They had not outside people come in, it was the facilities of the building. They said that they did like the air quality test and that everything, was safe. Although they did say that the building does have mold. They didn't lie about that piece, but they said it was within whatever the amount allowable. And but if you are, even someone that has that gene that you just can't like detox, or you just have that gene where you actually like 25% of people with that gene, they're the ones that get really sick, where someone else, like 30% of the people that worked in there were sick, but the other 70% were fine. And so it is having that advocate for you, like Bobby was saying, and that you're not crazy. It's not in your head, even if they're saying that there isn't any mold. You just have to, have that advocate help you to really get those answers. And that's what I would like start with, kind of like those first steps, and then everything else that, Mary has mentioned, little steps that you can do, opening up those windows and flooding your body with Purium so that you have the building blocks and so your body can, do its job. And so that's kind of like my, take on there, and just getting the right people in that can actually verify that, yes, that this is mold, and then whatever that next step is, then, whatever needs to be done. But yeah, just hang in there. I just, my heart, everything just, I feel for you. We've all been there, but I'm so glad that you're on the protocol, and we're here to support you. And it's just, there's taking that little step, but don't let anyone say that it's not in your head, that it's all in your head, and that this is crazy and that it's not true. Just make sure that you get the right people in there that can verify that there is indeed actually mold. I hope that's helpful. Okay, so we do have a couple, I just want to share, we do have a couple other questions if anybody wants to chime in. One of the questions was, do you fast periodically as well? And since I'm open, I just want to say that I'm more about listening to my body than I am about, okay, I have to fast. And what I mean by that is that I know that I fast when I'm sleeping at night. So that's my fast. But when I wake up in the morning, I have my aminos and my water, my warm water and all those things. If I'm not hungry, then I don't eat. I may not have my shake or eat anything at all, fruit, nothing, until I'm actually hungry. So I let my body be the guide. So some people can say, well, that's fasting. Well, I just listen to my body. And then there's other days when I wake up and, I might wait just 30 minutes after my aminos and then, have my shake because I'm just hungry. So I just kind of follow my own body's guidance. And if it's not hungry, it's for a reason. Maybe it's doing some very important things that needs to be done, while it doesn't have to deal with, digestion, even though with Purium, there's very little, digestion. Everything is pre-digested, going right into the tissues, right into the lymphatic system and being digested. But that's just kind of how I do it. So I would love to hear if anybody else wants to chime in and what their thoughts around fasting, and if they do fast.
I'll pop in here, and generally with the Ultimate Lifestyle Transformation, there's actually comes a placemat on the inside of the box, and you can choose one of the different schedules. and it's relatively easy. I think with people with chronic conditions or chronic diagnoses, that it's important, like you're saying, Kim, for them to tune in. And we're really not going by a schedule or a scale or an amount of food. Personally, with my clients and what I teach my team is that we want people to eat when they're hungry. It's important to empower them to eat foods in a certain order because things digest differently, and depending on how you food combine, it could cause further dysbiosis and brain fog and acidosis. And so that's where I'm really focusing. Like you said, I wake up in the morning, the first thing I do is take my aminos and my warm lemon water, because they go right into the lymphatic juice, is what's breaking it down in 23 minutes. And then I walk, or I move my body if I can, if I'm not too tired. But usually I wake up feeling refreshed because I'm taking that cherry juice at night, and it's really working on the inflammation in the body and the brain, and helping us go into a deep sleep so we can be regenerating. But then I wait until I'm hungry. And it's important not to watch the clock, because we want your body to come into homeostasis. We're pulling toxins out. We're discontinuing putting toxins in. And so your body just can really just wake up, use the nutrients and recognize them as nutrition, and absorb them and utilize them in their full capacity. And now your body starts to say, okay, it calms the nervous system, and you can start hearing your body. You're not hearing the pain anymore. You can really just start listening to when you're hungry, and then not worrying about how much you're eating and when you're eating, but more so how you're combining it, cleaning it, and preparing it. So that's my take on it. And yeah, thanks.
Well, thanks, Michelle. Anyone else want to chime in? Or I can move on to the next question.
I can just say real quick, I've been fasting probably for 5 years. I started it specifically for inflammation reduction. I don't do any crazy 24, 48 hour fast. My son always wants me to do like a 24-hour fast. I'm like, yeah, I'm not feeling it. So I have adrenal fatigue and things like that too. So it's not something I want to be putting my body through, but I do feel like giving my GI system a rest for a long extended period of time is when I make the most ground on my symptoms. And if I'm doing it regularly, I feel like it really is benefiting me. But I completely agree both with Michelle and Kim with using your intuition. And there are mornings where I will maybe be up at 5:30 instead of waiting till 10-ish. By 9:30, I'm like, you know what, I need to fuel myself. And so just being intuitive with that. And it typically is when I have been pushing really hard, doing other things. And so I think the intermittent fasting is a great way, especially not eating before bed. That's one of the things I tell my clients. If you can just not eat before you go to bed, you're giving your body just that extra time to clean out your system so that it can do the repair while you're sleeping.
Yeah, excellent point, Bobby. Thank you. And yeah, I would just add that if you are struggling with adrenal fatigue, fasting isn't always recommended. So I just wanted to, mention that, and Bobby did touch on that. And thank you, Michelle. Now there's a question, and it's a long question. And so we're not going to answer it here. We're going to go back to the person that had this question and support them. But should I go ahead and just read it? Because the person, if they're on, they'll hear that we did at least know that their question is seen. Should I do that?
It's a really personal question. So I was thinking maybe we can just shout out the name, and then, instead of reading the whole.
Okay.
Because it is a big, long question, and I feel like it should be answered privately with a one-on-one with this person. So.
Correct. And Amy, I don't know if you have that person's name. I don't have it here, but it might be on Facebook somewhere. But if we don't shout out your name, we'll definitely, your question is seen. It didn't go unnoticed. And let me just check. I think there were just a few ones, and I think there was one on fibromyalgia.
Let me just see.
Okay, this is from Maria, and I'm probably going to mess up your last name, Rubonaccio. I'm not sure if that's pronouncing it right or even close. But her question is, could fibromyalgia be more like very low vitamin D? Maybe Amy or anybody?
Go ahead.
Sorry, I was just going to say maybe Amy or anyone can, address that question.
As far as I know, I've never really heard that. I've heard that fibromyalgia is caused by a traumatic event in your earlier adolescence, or from a surgery even. It kind of triggers your body to start attacking its own immune system. So no, I've never really heard that version of that. Has anyone else ever heard that?
I mean, I think when we're looking at any sort of chronic illness, fibromyalgia included, if you have nutrient deficiencies, that's often part of it, but it's not the whole picture. And fibromyalgia, just like chronic pain, just like depression, that was someone else's question, just like anxiety, all of these things are often just symptoms of a bigger picture and widespread inflammation in the body. Chronic inflammatory response syndrome, which is something that all of us have been diagnosed with and are dealing with. Fibromyalgia is actually one of the top misdiagnoses when it actually is chronic inflammatory response syndrome. Your body just can't turn off its fight or flight mechanism because it is so overwhelmed by the amount of toxins and inflammation. And like Amy just said, trauma too. So emotional trauma can definitely be a factor in that. And if you've ever heard of the adverse childhood experiences study, if you're exposed to more ACEs when you're younger, you will have more, you are more likely to develop chronic illness and disease later on in life as an adult. And so they definitely all go hand in hand: nutritional deficiencies, emotional trauma, and physical toxin trauma. So whether you're exposed to a water damaged building or a tick-borne infection or a vaccine injury, there's a lot of different ways that can get us to the route of chronic inflammatory response syndrome and fibromyalgia. Chronic pain, widespread fatigue, all of these things build up in our body, and it is a diagnosis, but it doesn't actually give us a clear answer of okay, now we have this diagnosis, now what do we do about it? And our bodies are really smart, and they give us warning flags. And one of those warning flags can be these symptoms of widespread pain throughout our body. And vitamin D, to go back to your original question, vitamin D and all these micronutrients are so incredibly important to be able to start to overcome diagnoses and dis-ease in our body like fibromyalgia, which is why it's really important to use food as medicine and really take a step back, remove toxic exposures, but then also start to dial in with the nutrition piece of things as well.
Well, and it all really goes right back to your gut. If your gut is inflamed and it's leaky and it's letting in things that it's not supposed to let in, and it's not absorbing what it's supposed to be absorbing, your body's working at is challenged, and it's working at a deficit. And so you can fire hose it with a bunch of supplements and a bunch of external things. But if your body's not able to absorb it, it's like now it has to take this product that you took that's not absorbable, and it has to figure out what to do with it. It's like having a party at your house, and you have all these things that you really don't want anybody to see. So you throw it into that junk drawer or stuff it into the closet. It has to still process all of that. So what's nice about the premium products, especially aminos, there's no processing going on. It's getting infused in. It's already the form that it needs to be. And the Power Shake is, like Kim said, it's just getting absorbed. There's not a lot of time spent. Okay, now we got to chop this up into tiny pieces and figure out how to get it in. So if your gut is struggling in the first place, you will have low vitamin D just because you can't absorb it. So to say that it could be fibromyalgia related, anything could be related to the fact that you're not absorbing well. And that's the piece of the Purium that I feel like that block of nutrition or products, I feel really comfortable with, and I'm covering that space of it. And it's a good insurance policy, if you will, on your nutrition and the products that you're getting from it.
Yeah, and below vitamin D levels has been behind or underneath so many things and so many diagnoses and conditions. So it's very important to have adequate, vitamin D levels, and some other things that could be that keeps vitamin D levels low, among all the other things that the panelists had already mentioned, is that magnesium. And so if you're in depleted soil, eating foods from depleted soil, we're not even eating foods that are high in magnesium, then you could have maybe not even realize or know that you could be depleted in magnesium. And if that is the case, you cannot get your vitamin D levels up. And what I love about Purium, the grass, all the sprouted and living, foods and grasses and greens and all of that are so high in magnesium. So I don't know where you are or if you're on Purium now, but that is something that I feel that will, can benefit and help anyone if magnesium is behind having low vitamin D levels. So that's just something to consider as well. Okay, I don't know if anyone else had anything to add. Is there?
Yeah, I'll add something. I was going to say, what's different about what we're doing with, why do we love these nutrients versus other supplements? And the answer is really easy. It comes down to the soil. You've heard all of us refer to that. We're not only is our gut inflamed and permeable and we're not assimilating nutrients, but we're also basically our gut microbiome matches the microbiome of the soil, which has been completely depleted by pesticides and growing the same crops in the same soil over and over again. And we don't know the sources of these things. A lot of times are things that have extra minerals. It's actually coming from the stone, not the plant, because it's less expensive to try and fortify things with a rock than it is a plant. And so, what we're doing here is we're working with farms that have been organic for 30 years. This company is making sure these farms follow permaculture standards. The soil is nutrient dense, so we're getting the nutrients from the soil through the plant. And because of the way they dehydrate it, because of the way that's low heat processing, we're not losing any nutritive properties. So when you add water back in, you're not just taking something from you don't really know where, and it has extra fillers in it, and it's just continuing the acidity in our body. You're taking a food that becomes a whole living organic superfood that's essentially in a form that your body can recognize it as pre-digested. So it's almost like giving them those, that bowel a break, and feeding it almost formula, but so much better than anything we could ever create. And, in the process, we're supporting small local farms that are at least 3 generations organic. The company is going plastic free. And so chronic inflammatory response syndrome is essentially systemic inflammatory response syndrome, that fight or flight response, when you get in an accident or your heart races really fast. But for us, for some reason, it hasn't turned off. Some kind of toxic trauma or toxic burden or toxic bucket has tipped over and it hasn't turned off. And it's all systems of the body. That's why we have so many symptom clusters. We're talking about the skeletal system, the muscular system, the lymphatic system, the respiratory system, the digestive system, the nervous system, the endocrine system, the cardiovascular system, everything, the urinary system, everything is impacted. And we know this because we have so many symptoms going on. And the inflammation is allowing toxins to cross the blood-brain barrier. It's causing permeability in the digestive tract. And so this is a way where you can really just get the reins back and cool the system down. And in essence, access that nervous system through the gut. through that mind-body connection and really start to cool it down to a place where you can, you know, start thinking straight, start driving a car, get outside for a few minutes. And it's really appropriate for people at every level. And so, I mean, the difference is huge to me. Something that's going to ripen on the farm that I know is organic, grown in regenerative soil versus something I can't trace back to the farm that has additive fillers. And when you have toxic trauma or you've tipped your toxic burden, this is the most important thing. Being in a safe place, making sure you're not adding to your toxic burden on the outside, and then giving your body what it needs that it can recognize and nourish. And I think that's why so many people with this illness and so many of these practitioners and people that you've seen on this panel and have moved the needle so much. And Amy, before we go, I'd really love to just, if you don't mind sharing your story with us, because like Heather's, it's just extremely profound. And then we can wrap up this call if you don't mind.
Sure. And Mary, there's a question in the chat. What was that study you referenced about trauma? Oh, you just put it in. Okay, cool.
Yeah, I just answered.
Okay. I wasn't sure if you're seeing it on your phone. So my story, I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia about 10 years ago and was just put on the heaviest dose of pharmaceuticals as possible. And was really suffering from chronic pain. My pain was at like a 10 or 11, brain fog, depression and anxiety, and I've been suffering from that since I was 14. So I was, I knew I had to find another way. I was really, at my job, I was working for Big Pharma as a marketer, an art director in a marketing firm. And just everything was just kind of crashing down. And I left that job to be able to detox from the pharmaceuticals and use medical cannabis. That was about 4 years ago. So that was the start of my journey. And as I thought I was going to be on disability, I didn't think I was going to be able to work again. I couldn't get out of bed days. So my fibro was pretty severe, and the doctors, it took a while for that fibro or that diagnosis too. I was told it was in my head. I was told I was going to have these weird surgeries. It didn't really make sense. So there was a point where I was at my doctor's after losing this job and have to get off of the meds. I was losing my insurance too. So it was a really scary time, and I really had to become my own advocate. It was a really scary moment being outside in my car right after my psychologist told me that he was dropping me, and after asking him for help to move to cannabis. But really it was like a pivotal point of becoming like stronger and realizing that I had to figure out other alternatives. And I'm very grateful for my doctors dropping me now, because I don't think I would be here if I was still on those drugs. So I found cannabis. THC didn't really do that much for my pain. It helped my mood and stuff, but then I transitioned to CBD. CBD works with inflammation, so that makes a lot more sense with all the inflammation that was going on in my body. But it's also really expensive. I was working at a dispensary to try to afford it, and then I was ordering it finally online because dispensaries don't really tell you about CBD versus THC. They are in the business of THC. So then I started using kratom as well. This is also a different kind of natural plant, but I realized after forgetting it on vacation how addicted my body was, and I was going through withdrawals, like severe withdrawals. So I knew I needed to find a different answer. And last August, my best friend called me. She'd been doing this protocol for 7 days and was off of her ibuprofen, pain pills, anxiety meds, and I just was like, sign me up. Let's try it. And on day 3, I was off kratom with no side effects. I didn't have to use any kind of medical cannabis at all. And I was using like 75 milligram gummies at a time and wasn't even getting high. My tolerance was crazy high. I was still using muscle relaxers. That was the only pharmaceutical I was really still using. And I was able to stop that with just the tart cherry. And I was able to start dreaming again, which was wild. And I lost to like the rest of that weight that I gained from the pharmaceuticals. I went from 142 to 125, which is like my high school, college weight. And it's been 8 months now, and I'm still 125. It's not a fluctuation, it's a lifestyle. And my pain, I don't have to take any kratom or anything else. And my pain was at a 5 with all of that stuff. And now with just Purium products, my pain is like at a 0 or 1. I haven't had any flares. I haven't had any anxiety attacks or depression. I mean, we all have mood swings, obviously, but nothing like I was having or suffering from. So, I mean, this has changed my life. And yeah, I mean, I'm just so grateful for it. I'm like in New Mexico, I'm traveling, I'm skiing. Like, I never thought I would do anything like this. And this company has given me an income to survive on too. So I'm just like so grateful. Yeah, thanks, Michelle.
That is awesome. That's so cool to hear, Amy.
Thanks for sharing that. I got a little teary-eyed.
Me too.
So if you're watching this with us now, or you're watching the replay, we're just a bunch of really heart-centered people and practitioners that invited you here because we care about you, and we really want people to feel good in their skin suits and have the outcomes that we've had. And we're not the exception. We are the rule here. When you take your reins and you are ready, we will be here for you to show you what we learned and what we love so much about what we're doing. And we have so many other tips and tricks for you. There's going to be a lot of stuff coming in the guides. We're doing a lot of vetting of all kinds of companies, not just the food. But you really want to start moving the needle quickly. This is the way to go, and we're happy to support you when you're ready. So please get back with the person who invited you here, and I'll just turn it back over to everybody if you want to have anything to add. And thank you so much to all of these wonderful, amazing people I get to work with and support on a daily basis. My life is truly blessed, and I never thought I'd be where I am right now, because I was also stuck in a chair in a dark room for a long time. So I'm just so thrilled to be able to be supporting people in this way. So thanks, everyone. Pop off mute if you have something to add.
I just want to add and close with that, it's a blessing and I'm so grateful. I, even just because I'm a functional, wellness specialist, doesn't mean that, I don't believe that there is anything as perfect health. And so what I share with others that work with me, my clients, is things that I do for myself as well. And this has been, such a game changer for me. I suffer with adrenal fatigue and histamines and a bunch of other things, and some deficiencies as well. And just in the short period of time that I've actually been feeling my body, my histamines feel like they're almost, gone. And I feel like I didn't think that I was going to come back from adrenal fatigue this quickly. So it has just been wonderful, and it's just a blessing to me to be able to serve people at a different level than I did before, and bringing them just, when they're stressed, when they're, just not feeling well, when they have chronic health issues, that your body spends all of its time on digestion. And so when we can lift that burden off of an already burdened body, and it just allow this superfood, this nutrition to go in and feed you, and where you are so fed and so nourished, and then all the components with it work together to get you sleeping, to give you the aminos that you need to help your body to thrive and to be able to do what it does is to regenerate and to get itself well. Whether you have cancer, whether you have any of the conditions that we talked about tonight, no matter how chronic it is, This has just been such a blessing to me that I get to do what I love and serve others and help them with their health, chronic health, where they may not have been getting any answers anywhere else, or maybe having protocols that are just way too confusing and that cause them way too much stress. Where this is simple, this is easy. I mean, you got to listen to your body. We'll start slow. We'll walk you through it. But it's just been a blessing, and I just wanted to say thank you for being here. It's definitely been our honor and our pleasure to serve you.
Thanks, everyone. Much
Thank you.
appreciated.
Mary or Heather or
I echo what
Bobby,
everyone, I echo what everyone else just, I'm really grateful to be here. I'm really grateful to have my health back. Thank you for sharing your story, Amy. That made me tear up. I've heard bits and pieces of it, but not the whole thing. And I just think it's really beautiful that you're able to turn that experience and that pain into something bigger than yourself and be able to help other people. And I think that's what we're all trying to do here. And I think I know there's so much chronic illness and suffering in the world, and there doesn't have to be. And there's definitely solutions. And I'm just feeling really grateful right now to be a part of this community and to have turned up my own corner, my own health through this nutrition and through the support of everyone here.
Okay, if we're done here for now, I'm going to go ahead and end our time together. And anyone else, any last parting words? Okay, well, thank you again for being here. And until the next time, stay well, reach out to whoever invited you, and we are all here to support you.